Hey, what's up, everyone? You are tuned in to Talk with Lady Zines. I am your host, Miss Londa. I have a great topic for you this evening. But before we get into that, I would like to welcome my guest this evening. So, this evening, please welcome Paula. We have Slim. Welcome back. I'd like
Hi.
Valentine to the show and Miss Linda. Thank you all for joining. Our topic this evening is why can't we as women stick together? Anybody have anything that they would like to say about that? Can you guys all hear me?
If we
I
can hear
think
you.
I think when we say why can't women stick together, there's we can talk about all women, and then we can talk about us,
Us as a
Black women or women of color.
Yeah.
A lot of us, I say us because I don't like singling anyone out. They've been conditioned to think a certain way, to feel a certain way, to feel like they have to be competitive in everything that they do because, they compare, I've seen moms compare their child to someone else's child, at a young age. So that's starting them off you're conditioning them to feel like they have to compete with any woman they see in order for them to have what it is that they want. And I just hate that has been instilled in us as a race, because if you look at some other races, they may have their things going on, but they stick together, even if they don't stick together in public, they stick together. And whatever they don't, agree on behind closed doors, they address that. But our women, and I love the Black woman. I think a woman of color is the most beautiful thing that ever graced this earth. But we've been conditioned to think that we have to compete for everything, that we have to, it's like crabs in a bucket. Like we got to scratch each other in order to survive, in order for us to be okay. Like there's not a lane for everybody. Like everybody can succeed. We don't have to be that way. And I think it starts from just being groomed as a child.
That could be true. And that could be true. Also, I think that a lot of the times why we can't stick together as women is because sometimes the other woman is afraid of the other woman getting ahead. This is why we can't congratulate or motivate each other. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a jealousy type of deal.
Right. And a lot of times I don't think women realize that their jealousy is showing in those type of areas. I think a lot of times jealousy comes from them seeing something that they want to have in someone else. So because they don't have that, or they don't feel like they measure up to that, then they automatically feel this type of jealousy or dislike towards a person who's never done anything wrong to them. I've seen this happen multiple times. And you can be the nicest person to someone, and they just have this air about them, like they just dislike you. And it's like, what in the world did this person do to you? But this person has done nothing to them. It's just that they see something that they wish they had in that person, and instead of befriending that person to see, hey, sometimes most times you can befriend someone. If you see a woman she's out here, she's looking like she has a boss, and she's actually a boss for real. She has it going on. She has this, and that. Instead of disliking her or hating her, see if you can get in her circle. See if she can mentor you to get to where she is instead of that dislike. Because a lot of times, all women don't feel that I want you down here and me up here. Plenty of women want to pull you up with them, but you have to have the right attitude. You have to have the right air about yourself in order for someone to grab you and say, hey, I want to pull you with me. Let me show you the way.
Yeah, I think you also have to put yourself in the right circle as well, too.
Right.
And understand that you need to get out of certain circles as well, too. Because this is coming from an outsider. I'm a Black man, not a Black woman. But I've been in a lot of circles. I've been in the white circles. And everyone has a lot of these same struggles that we have, because everybody's competing for the same thing. We're in a competitive world. We've been taught to be, in the United States specifically, it's about that individual and trying to get ahead of everyone and being better than everyone. And we're always being compared to one another. Look at that light-skinned baby. Look at that pretty dark-skinned baby. We always have to put these adjectives on things to try to separate us. Mm-hmm. And it's a human nature thing for the most part. But I think for us, specifically Black people, we're so limited. So we feel like there's a limited number of spaces for everything. So that, I think that does add to that competition and that feeling that we have to compete, because we're like, hey, they don't want to let one of us in here. So It's going to be me. but that goes up the ladder as well too for white women, Hispanics as well too. As you get up that ladder, you feel that, hey, there's only a couple of spots available for us because these white men are not going to allow all of us up in here. So I think it's on a psychological level. And I think it's one of those things where, again, we have to try to start making sure that we're putting ourselves around the right people. You know, we have 4 sisters in here right now who feels the same way. And I'm sure you have some people in your family, you know, in your neighborhood, you know, at your job who is trying to do those things, but I'm sure there's some who don't. And we have to try to figure out, all right, how can I get myself out of this situation and find myself around more like-minded people?
So what do you think about when the people of our color and other colors that they sit up there and come to you, giggle, laugh in your face, want to be your friend, and all the time they sticking you in the back with a knife?
So I think with that, and that comes from any race. I
Right,
think
that's what I just said. Any race.
Women, let's address women, because women, whether we want to admit it or not, we are some of the most emotional creatures. We are emotional. We're nurturing. That is who we are. So we automatically, when that happens, I used to be the person when I found out that someone was behind my back or mistreating me, it used to really bother me. It used to really bother me. And then I'm 35 now, and I like to think that I'm older and a little wiser than I was 10 years ago. And the more I realize now is that, and I've been backstabbed to the point where I couldn't believe it within the last 5 years. And did it upset me? It did. But what it didn't do was make me retaliate. What it didn't do was make me come out of the character that I have, who I am. You know, 35-year-old Slim is different from 20-year-old Slim. So 35-year-old Slim won't actually give that type of stuff any life, because those things can boil over, and it can get really horrible. So what I've decided to do, when a person shows you who they are, this is my motto for everything in my life. You believe them the first time. You don't give second and third chances. I don't care who they are, family, friends, whomever they are. Once they show you who they are and they've shown you that they're not for you, then they have to go.
I agree.
25-year-old Slim was showing them hands, wasn't she?
No, I was saying walk away. Yeah,
35-year-old is gonna walk away. 25-year-old is gonna be like,
true.
Welcome, Patrice. Her audio is connecting. Welcome, Patrice.
Hello, it's finally let me in. So happy to be here tonight.
And we're glad to have you. Well, what is your take on, how do you feel about why we as women can't stick together?
So I first off want to thank you for allowing me to be on this platform with you tonight. And it is a joy and an honor. For me, the reason why, and there's many reasons, but some of the top reasons is it's that subconscious thought that's placed in us that someone is going to do better than us. And sometimes it creates a competitiveness that actually does not need to exist, because of the fact there's room for everybody to succeed as an individual is that they bring. But the way we are demographically raised sometimes, the way our households may be where you're compared from one child to the next, you just sometimes feel like you have to fight for your position. And, I just think about when I grew up in New York. I'm naturally a happy person. I never met a stranger. I'm the type of person that says I don't have anybody that doesn't like me and things like that. But I do remember the young girls in my classes, in my neighborhoods, that no matter how nice you were, they thought that the world was against them. And sometimes if you grow up in that mindset, in that environment, it subconsciously becomes a part of you. And when it becomes a part of you, you don't even realize how much it could be hurting another person, because you can start to spearhead yourself in trying to accomplish whatever it is that you're trying to get.
So wouldn't competing and afraid of somebody getting ahead of you, wouldn't that fall under the guidelines of self-esteem and knowing your self-worth? Because I feel like if you know your self-worth, you wouldn't worry about if a person is going to get ahead of you. You know what you can do, and you know what I mean? You know what you're capable of.
Okay, I see what you're saying, but let's say we're talking corporate America, right? So I work in, we can say corporate America, and there are scenarios where they pit, women against each other, and it could be and these could be intelligent, top tier women, and they know they have it going on. But when your eyes on a prize, right? Let's say a particular position is coming open and your eyes on this prize, but not just your eye, but all other eyes, there's a chance that they will pit, and not pit you guys in a way that, makes you feel like you need to fight someone, but makes you feel like, hey, can I get this job? Am I good enough for this job? And you're good enough for this job, but you're not the only person doing this because they're trying to see, I guess, in a sense, will the strongest survive? But that right there tears some people down. Everybody can't take that being pit against each other, especially when you're doing a good job. It's not that you want to fit in, you deserve this particular position, but when someone starts to question things that you do, well, you do this, or how you do this, well, at once, and then they'll, I've seen it done to the point where it's like, this is horrible. This person's doing a good job. And then it can be two people that's doing great jobs, and they'll bring somebody in that can't do anything squat diddly because they are either friends with that person or that person has a look that they're particularly looking for. So I think a lot of times that creates competition, and it's not, and the competition is not intentionally, because everybody feels like that, I feel good in what I'm doing. But when I'm looking at a particular position that I know I qualify for, I know I deserve, but then you're telling me about this and this and that. And I had a scenario, young lady, she great, intelligent. She's going to go far in the field that I'm in, very far. Someone told her because she wears dread, twist braids and things like that, if it's unprofessional, she needs to stop wearing that. Oh. Now, I was in that room when that conversation happened, and I was like, hey, stop, let's talk. Because I'm in leadership, and I wear those things when I feel like I want to wear those things. That does not take away from what I can do. That does not take away from me making sure my team is okay, making sure that we are creme de la, I like to call my team creme de la creme. My hairstyle should not dictate what you think of me or what position you think I should get.
Exactly.
But it does happen in these jobs, in these careers. It happens. They try to change it, and it's always Black women that are trying to do this to. They're trying to change your natural hair. You ever thought about blowing that out or straightening that? And it's like, wait a minute, what you just say to me? Exactly. But they try to play it off. And that right there starts competition, because this young lady came back to work that following week with her hair pressed out. And it really is saddened me. It made me upset that she took that advice and ran with it. Like, your hair was not the reason you were brought here. It was what you could do. It was what we knew you could do. But because you came in here with what they say is ethnic, you felt compelled to change yourself. And that in itself starts envy, because people start telling you that your natural hair is not good enough. So you start looking at the women that are wearing these straight hairs or weaves or whatever. I need to do this in order for me to be looked at a certain way. And you're not even realizing that, you're competing now. Somebody has said something to you that makes you feel some type of way, instead of you saying, hey, you know what? I understand what you're saying. I appreciate whatever you thought you were doing that helped me, but I like me just the way I am. Some women, especially our younger women, they don't understand that. They'll allow people to talk to them as far as how they look, and start saying, well, you see how this person dressed? You should dress more like that person. I'm not that person.
Exactly.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to dress how I dress, because we all dress professional. I'm not going to come in here with straight hair, because it's not what I do. But we have so many people that have conformed to what society has told us what we should look like, and they're changing it. So when somebody brings it up, well, I can't wear my natural hair to work. Myself, I can't walk. If I wanted to walk in my job with some red hair, I probably would be asked what's wrong with me. And red hair may be a little bit far stretch.
However, go burgundy.
Burgundy, you gotta have some dark in there. You gotta have something to balance it out. However, but then I look at other races and they have literally rainbow hair walking around the organization.
True.
So why can't my red hair come in here if I wanted to? You know what I'm saying? So why? And that causes competitions in itself because we're not treated the same. The way we dress, our clothes fit us a little differently because we're shaped a little differently. So you can have somebody that's shaped different from us and we can have the same outfit on. And this has happened to me. We had jeans. They were doing jeans or whatever. And one of the HR ladies walked in and saw me in my jeans. I'm walking to the cafeteria area. And I guess I look cute in the jeans. So later that day, my manager got an email saying we couldn't do jeans anymore.
Oh, wow.
Now, this woman had on jeans too, but she looked different in her jeans than me. But because you felt some type of way about how I looked in my jeans, let's just go ahead and stop the jeans things altogether.
Yeah, that's just a cultural thing, though. That happens in every environment.
Right.
I mean, casual Fridays has changed where you can work at a law firm and never have to wear a suit these days. When I worked at a law firm, you had to come in with a suit every single day. Yeah. So I just stopped working at Apple for the past 13 years, and we would have those same situations where there was this girl, white girl. Because she was thicker, she tried to wear leggings. Guess what? Because of the attention that was brought, they said, hey, no more leggings, right. Which also made her feel a certain type of way, just because it's like you're singling me out because you never had a problem with anybody else doing these things until I did it because you have that shape. But I think that's that cultural change. I mean, I remember the first days when, here's a crazy story. So when I was back in high school, 10th grade basketball team, they wouldn't let us have high top fades. White coach. So everybody would have to shave their heads or cut them down. And I refused. I ended up having to sit out by 3 or 4 games until I tried to conform, which I wouldn't do, but those type of things happen just because you have those cultural differences. And he thought of it in a certain way. Years later, he changed his policy up, but that's the thing that happens. Like over time, things will evolve because you have these cultural differences. When is it appropriate to, hey, think about the church, especially the Black church, as far as how long did it take for you to be able to come into church without wearing the big hat and being all dressed up and be able to come in with a jersey? It takes pioneers and people who have that heart and integrity, I would say, to be able to stand up for what they believe in. So, it's going to be a struggle, but I know what you're saying. And I agree with you 100% because, hey, Black women, you guys have to go through it a whole lot more, than we do, even though you're way more educated than we are as Black men as well, too. So I definitely sympathize with you because, again, it's like you feel like that there's a limited amount of spaces available for you.
Right.
And now, not trying to get off the subject, but I was Yolanda, she empowered me because I was very vulnerable after my husband went to heaven. I talked to her because everybody was trying to, get into my head and use me. I talked to Londa, we talked, she discussed this to me, but they can't do it no more because I am me. And I know I am older, but I needed that discussion.
Yes.
And I talked with a lot of different women, but not the women that was trying to, because I was vulnerable. I was very vulnerable because I know I'm older. I've been with my husband over 50 years.
Congratulations.
But he's in heaven now. And I got vulnerable. So I talked to Londa a lot of times, and we discuss a lot of things. And she talks to me. We talk. It's still, as of now, it's still people trying, but they can't do it no more. No more. I'm strong now.
And so then you also find the women who, if they don't want to share the game because they're afraid that this person might get ahead of you. I've been in those situations before. I've even been in situations where friends would share the game with me, but they would only share so much because they felt I was going to share the game with somebody else. So I just think that we, as women, like you guys have all been saying this evening, it's always about a big competition. And this is something that I want to work to change. You know, since I started my journey, which is what brought me to this topic, I'm not even to where I need to be as far as what I'm doing, as far as my journey. And what I've realized is that there are certain people that I really thought, you know, would be there to support me, and they're not. Then there's other people who came along and said, yeah, they was about it, but they're sitting quiet. So this is what brought me to this topic, because I don't understand.
So what I've learned in that, so I like to event planning. That's my thing. I love it. And I took a break after I had my son. My son is 3 now, so I'm going back to it this year. And what I realized, that people will say they'll support you until you start going what they think is big stream, or you start getting a little attention. And then it's like, I'm not going to use her. I'll use somebody else to do my party. But hey, friend, how you doing? Yeah. So if we know that this is what I do and this is what I'm trying to do, then why would we attempt to use somebody else? But what I've learned is that jealousy is sometimes in some people so deep that they cannot control it. They don't even know that it's happening for them. I look at so many women that will go support an outsider opposed to somebody they're close with, just because they don't want to see them get that money. They don't want to see them increase their bank account. That type of jealousy is dangerous. And it's dangerous for a lot of people, because I always say this: in any business that you're in, there's a lane for everybody. Everybody can eat. You may not, my sister, she has a screen printing business. And there are times when people come to her and they feel like her prices are a little bit too much. She'll give them the number to somebody else. You go, here, this may help you. This person may can work with you, because everybody can eat. You can't hold it all to yourself. You can't do everything yourself. So why would you try to limit the knowledge to the next person? There are so many women that keep this to themselves. If they hold it tight, or they want to charge you. I saw on Instagram somebody was charging like $3,000 to learn how to take pictures. Excuse me, I can take a Nikon and go out there and snap pictures until I figure out the angles and what's the best look. I don't need you to charge me $300 and $3,000. Why would you charge somebody that type of money and you say free game, and we all know you're not giving them the game because you're afraid that they may take your clientele?
Right. I'm going to piggyback off of that in a minute, but Patrice has her hand up, so I'm going to go on and let Patrice speak real quick.
Okay.
So I completely agree. It is it's deep. Sometimes with the jealousy, to where it's so natural and innate in a person, and it could be those generational ties where that's all that has been brewing and stirring. Just like we say, hurt people hurt people. And I think if you have a given heart, if you have any type of want to be better in the way of us as a people, as women, you're going to always deal with those kinds of oppositions. You're going to deal with those people who want to box you in. But what I say is, what we can do is be the example. Get with the like-minded people that are celebrating you from the sidelines and truly celebrating you. And it's always not, oh, you're doing a great job, but just, you inspire me. How can I be of service to you? And I think that's why this platform was so amazing, because it is a question that we have to bring up. And then it has to be, what are we going to do now? Now that we've identified this to be an issue and be a problem. Because one thing I teach my kids, and I remind myself, there is 7.5 billion people in this world. And I am not supposed to connect with every single person. Now, when we first start off, we're very close with our family and the people that we're around. But look at how we were on a platform. I don't know about everybody, but Yolanda and I were on a platform, Clubhouse, and that's how we got a chance to connect. And because of those kind of platforms where you get to actually just listen to a person's voice and make a decision about the words that are literally coming out of their mouth, I think this is the beginning of how we can learn to love on each other, connect with like-minded people, and make a change. Maybe we're not going to make everybody change, but if we can help impact one other person, then we're going in the right direction. And yes, I sit here and I think about how we have tried to conform, because I did spend 6 years in the military. And yes, I was that female that was a little thicker than most. And yes, guidelines got changed because of me. And yes, why am I being measured or being told things that the other comrades were not said? Why? Because I'm different. My hair was different. My nails were different. My talk was different. My walk was different. And they could not understand it because it's not a normal thing for us. We have been placed in a society that is not our own. And that's why it's so important for us to say, I found somebody good, and I'm going to connect with that person, because then it becomes a magnet. And a lot of us, myself included, we got to start identifying those who are not good for us and start making some demotions.
Exactly. And I've learned to just basically step outside of my box. And since I have stepped outside of my box, I have met people along the way. Like, to me, Clubhouse is the best thing that happened to me. The first night that I was on Clubhouse, I met Hot Mike. He automatically started giving me the game. And I thank him for that. And when you step outside of your box and you start networking, you will meet people that have the same type of mentality and heart as you. There are people out here that, that feel like, hey, we can all get it together. So there are people out. So if you're not getting that from your circle or people that you are around, step outside of your box. And then I wanted to touch something like, so last night I was on Clubhouse and I had a person tell me like, don't be just giving out your Clubhouse invites for free. We want to keep this, private and this, that, and the other. And I was like, well, my invite was given to me for free. So I don't want to turn around and sell my invite. And then to find out that this person got their invite for free, it was just like, wow, really? And this is the type of things that I'm talking about.
So yeah.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm so sorry. Wait a minute. Did I hear that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody just talking about selling invites that they got for free.
Yes, and
let's stay away from them people altogether. That's all I gotta say. Run.
$100, and I'm like, wow. And then when a person, did you pay for your invite? And they said no. It's like, okay, so you were blessed with a free invite, but you want to turn around and sell to other people. And we're in this room, and this room is about connecting and getting your followers up and boosting your Instagram, but yet you're sitting here saying that you rather sell the invites. Like, which team are you on? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. I feel like you can't knock the hustle. But yeah, it's all about having integrity in everything that we do, and this goes on from everything. One of the great lines from Jay-Z, he talks about that, how artists were taking their music off a title just because of him, just because he bought title. So that type of, thing as far as jealousy and envy happens on every single scale. And it takes that individual, because here's the thing, we can't control what other people do, but you can control what you do, how you react and how you move. And we always can, again, get out of these situations and get away from those people and make sure that we're putting ourselves in better positions and in better circles. Yeah. I think it starts there.
Miss Paula, is there anything that you would like to add?
No, I agree with everything everyone has said so far. I've had situations, I'm going to bring it back a little bit, to where I had another older Black woman with the clothes situation tell me that my jeans was too tight. And I was like, I still have room in my jeans. I mean, just because guys look at different females differently, I mean, I'm not out there. I was out there to do a job. I'm not out there to get attention from other people. I've had situations where people also try to be like, put restrictions on me because I'm Black and I'm different from everybody else too. So I'm here to learn and to listen, and I'm not trying to hurt other people either. I'm trying to also offer whatever knowledge I can, even if I'm younger. Some people are quicker learners, and can catch on to something. And I've had people not want to share some of their experience because I was younger. So I understand.
So I guess, you had something to say?
Oh, and I was just going to say, yeah, that I understand where you're coming from with that. We also have to understand where they're coming from this as well, too. You know, because if it is like an older Black woman, she wasn't into that, wearing the skinny jeans, tight jeans, leggings, things like that. So they're going to look at it in a certain type of way. It's almost like, you know, kids who used to sag and stuff. Like, I'm 46, so it's like sagging. Nah, I can't do that kind of stuff. But I'm not gonna, just because I don't agree with it doesn't mean that I'm gonna look at them in a certain way or think they're going down a certain path or they're not intelligent or they're not this or that. But in certain situations, in certain areas, I'm going to say, hey, you might want to do this because it may be a bad look. I can look at you in a certain way, but other people are going to look at you in a certain light. So is that me hating on you, or is that me really trying to get you up on game, as far as knowing that people do judge you based on these things? And when you're maneuvering in certain areas, you should maneuver in a certain type of way and hold yourself in a certain type of way.
Well, I do like to, I call it code switching. So my ladies that I work with, that I'm over, I like to tell them about the code switch. We work in a certain type of way that you can't come dressed a certain way. You can talk a certain way. And not saying change how you talk, but let's pronounce our words. Let's pronounce our words clearly, because, you know, I may understand what you're saying, but this person may be looking at you like you're ignorant or, you know, illiterate. And we don't want that. We want them to know that you're able to communicate the way you should communicate. But that doesn't mean change who you are, but we have to learn how to code switch. And so many of us, we get offended when somebody tell us that, hey, right here, you need to do this, but over here, go back to what you're doing. And, you know, one of my ladies, she didn't understand. She was like, well, I'm finna talk how I'm finna talk. And I'm like, baby, I'm sitting here. I don't want you to stop saying finna right now to me in my office, because we can't have a conversation like this. Exactly. She was young, and I did understand, you know, young people. And I like it. When I call myself old, somebody look at me was like, girl, stop. But I understand that younger right now is different. When I was 22, I was different. I was almost similar to what I am now as far as how I carry myself. But a 22-year-old right now is very different. A lot of them are very different right now. They're doing different things, and they'll bring what they do outside of work to work, and you have to pull them in. And sometimes they'll get offended saying, hey, why are you trying to change me? Baby, I'm not trying to change you, but you're at work. Once you hit that clock, you have to code switch. You can't come in here with purple hair, baby. I like your purple hair, but let's switch that hair out Sunday night, because you got to come in here in a different way. And it's in our rule book that you can't have, if the hair can't grow out of your scalp, you can't wear it. And we know purple hair is not coming out of nobody's scalp, so you can't wear that. So go get you some blonde hair. They can go out of somebody's scalp, just not yours. But they don't understand that, and they get upset when you tell them try to teach them about the code switching. In fact, and you know, you want to be looked at as an adult and that you can carry yourself in a professional way. But yet when it's time for you to do it, you don't do it, and you feel like somebody's judging you. You're going to be judged. And I hate the fact that people are judged, but it's there. And especially for Black women in this world, they're going to be judged on everything they do, because somebody's always trying to find something wrong, because they hate that the majority of us are educated. They hate that we can carry ourselves with class and that we can switch it up for the weekend and do our thing and come back and switch it back. You know, everybody can't do that. And then I like to say that I walk with a crown on my head. Nobody's ever tilted my crown. If my crown tilted, I tilted it myself. Nobody can tilt my crown for me. And when I try to teach these young ladies this, you know, initially they get upset. And you're trying to change me. You're trying to tell me I can't do that. Then eventually they start seeing certain things. I dress a certain way at work. So at work, I dress to the T. And that's just me anyway. Like, and what I've noticed over the last year, we've gotten more younger ladies with me now. And they'll come start dressing a certain way, but when they see you, another thing we have to think about as far as older women, they're always looking. The younger ones are always looking. So if we come in here and what we're telling them to do, we don't reflect that, then they're not going to care. You're going to be one of them, and they're going to come with the Days Deuce on, the ripped jeans, the purple and go silver hair. They're going to do all that stuff. So you have to be the example that you're telling them You know, my thing is be the example that you want to be, the change you want to see in the world. So if you want to see a change in here, you need to be that change. And if you want to, I had a group like a year and a half ago. My group was a mess. It was like this. You had miserable people can come in and ruin a team. One person can start spreading certain things and have a team torn apart. And my team was torn apart from two people. And it took everything in me for me to figure out what were these people's problems. And then I realized some people are just normally, you know, they're just jealous. It's no reason. It's nothing someone has done to them. They're just miserable. They live in that misery and they like it there. So anybody that they can bring in with them, they're going to snatch it. And when you have these younger women that is not as more mature, not as seasoned, some of them will fall for that. And it'll divide a department. My department went through that. It took us almost a year to get the department to the back to where it was. And that made me kind of look at it saying, wait a minute. You have people that sit around, look for reasons to dislike somebody. Why is she dressed like that? Why is she coming here wearing heels every day? I can't dress the way I wanted because I dress for me. It's not for you. This is how I feel. When I get up in the morning, I pick an outfit based on how I feel, not how I think you're going to look at me, because I work with all women. So I'm not trying to look good for not one of you all up in here, but I do want to be the example that I'm asking you all to be. I'm asking you all to dress a certain way. You don't got to come in here wearing heels, but you need to come in here dressed in a manner that the CEO of this hospital can walk in here and look at you any day. You need to be dressed in a manner that he's like, okay, they look good. They're professional. They're carrying their stuff over there. It's 18 Black women in my department. We have to work. We have to carry ourselves a little bit different from everybody else. And sometimes it's hard to get people to understand that.
But see, that's where it comes in. What comes in with that is this. People have to learn how to be and when to be. Some people can't transform. You get what I'm saying? Like,
come on.
I can go out with my homegirls and get ghetto ratchet. But when I'm trying to get this job, my whole voice, my whole demeanor, everything changes. It's about knowing how to be and when to be.
Sorry to bother you. Anybody see that movie?
No.
If you haven't seen the movie, Sorry to Bother You, please.
Let me put it in my phone.
Please. Sorry to bother you. Lakeith Stanford, my man from Atlanta, Danny Glover is in it as well too. But he puts him up. They are telemarketers, and basically he comes in, you know, just being a regular brother, and he's like, "Turn on your white voice." And you're like, you want me to talk like this? He's like, no, not trying to, you know, have that. You got to have that tone and that confidence and all of that. There's a certain tone that they actually have. And he taught him, put him up on game, and he started killing the game.
What'd you say the name of it was?
Sorry to Bother You. Probably one of the best films that's been made in, I'll say at least easily 10 years.
And it's on Hulu for free.
I'm gonna jump in and comment from the audience really quick. Stacy says, especially in the corporation world, women don't like to stick together, especially if they're making more money. If they have to show you how to do the job that they're doing, that means more money, higher title for the other person.
I agree with her. So I've been in my job, I've been in my leadership position 3 years, maybe 4, can't really remember, but I've been with the company for 10. And there have been instances where someone that was a little higher up than me didn't want to show me certain things. So I'm called the pit bull in my department. I am one that you can't tell me no, because I'm going to figure out how to get a yes. And that goes for my ladies. So anything I know, the ladies that I am over, that I am supervising, they're going to know, because they make, my thing is, leaders, what we need to understand is what you do is make sure the ones that you're leading look good. That makes you look good. So that means the knowledge that you have to give it to them and stop thinking about, well, they'll take my title. No. You want them eventually to grow. And if they need to leave from or away from you, they need to be able to go and say, hey, this person taught me that. And that makes you look a lot better. But you have these people with that crab in a bucket mentality that they don't want to show you anything. They don't want to tell you anything because they're afraid that you're coming for their title. When in reality, people are looking. You may not think they're looking, but they're looking. They're saying, well, why does this person do everything when they have the option to have this help to delegate these type of things? Because that person is selfish. That person is afraid. That person is scared that because, hey, she's younger, she may come from my position. Baby, I don't want your position. I want to go over you. So I want to skip you and go over you. So that's what I'm looking for. But so many women, they're so afraid to give knowledge because they're afraid that you're going to come and try to take their title. I don't want your title, sweetie. I appreciate what you're trying to do for me. But my overall goal in the organization that I am is to actually run a hospital one day. I don't want your job. I want you to excel as well. But what I need from you is to give me what I need in order for me to do my job. And my job is to make sure that my ladies are up to date with what they need to be up to date with. Because when it's all said and done, these 16 ladies underneath us make us look good. Not we can walk around and act like we got the world going on. We got it made. But when these 16 ladies are failing, we fail. And so many women don't realize that because they're so petty. They're so competitive. I don't want her knowing this. Why you need to know that? I was told, why do you need that? Because the ladies need it and you're not giving it to them because they don't like talking to you. So I need it. And that made me frustrated to the point where I was like, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to deal with this type of foolishness? Like, why is it so hard for women to communicate with one another without thinking that somebody's coming for what you got? I don't want what you have. I'm okay with what they're giving me right now. I don't need your pay. I don't need your job. I don't want to step on your toes. But what I want us to do is to make sure we're running this department the way it needs to be ran and make sure the ladies that come to us for support get what they need instead of you saying, I don't know, go figure it out. What? What's your job title? What are you supposed to be doing? And and I think that's another reason why so many women don't come together, because you have those type of women that if you ask them a question or need something from them, they shoot you off because they don't want to give it to you. And that drives that. I don't want to deal with that person. That drives that wedge that puts people at a distance where you can't come together, where you can't rise up together because you got somebody trying to make sure you stay down here because they're afraid they give you certain information that you may rise to them up where they are or above them. But that's mentality life is about evolving. And in careers as well, you evolve. You don't want to stay where you are forever, do you? And that's my mentality. I don't want to stay where I am forever. I want to evolve. And eventually I'm going to evolve, but as I evolve, I need to bring people that I train up with me. That way I know the people that I got with me are going to do the right thing. They're going to listen. They're able to be trained correctly and not make them feel like I'm better than them because my job type is different or my pay is different from them.
And so seeing that you're saying that, like, why not flip it around? If you're already in a certain position, by you giving this other person the knowledge, think about it this way. If they do move up to your position, then you're gonna you have nowhere to go but up.
And that's
so why not think about it in that aspect?
And you know what? Most they don't think about it. I think some people are so content with where they are, and I'm not sure if it's the age of like, well, I'm too old to go here, I'm too old to do that. They're content. I'm not. I'm content with what God has given me for right now because this is where I should be. But eventually I want to evolve. I want something more. And as I grow more, I'm going to need somebody that the position that I do now. And I've always told my manager, when I leave here, I need to make sure one of these ladies can do what I do here, what I do now. They need to be able to, when someone comes to them, they need to be able to answer anything, train them, show them what they need to do, and not do it in a selfish way where they're half telling you something so you won't do it. Because that's going to make them look bad. And whether we believe it or not, whether we want to think it or not, we're all replaceable. Nobody's irreplaceable. So your selfishness comes out, especially when you're trying to keep people at a bare minimum because you're afraid of them looking good and you're not looking good. But you look bad either way because you're not helping. So my thing is, a lot of people don't want to, they're content. They make $25, $30 an hour. They're content with their 25 and 30. They think that's the best of the best. They're going to stop right there. I'm not that person. I'm not greedy at all when it comes to money, but I like evolve. Like the job I'm doing now, I'm kind of getting burned out on it. Not because I don't like it, because I want more on my plate. When you do something for so long, it's like you do it in your sleep. And then it becomes a little like, dang, I need something else. I need something to challenge me a little bit more. I like to be challenged. I like to come to work, and if my day is busy, that's a good day for me. But if I sit in my office just looking out the window, I'm kind of like, what in the world? Like, what is it? I'm getting up saying, hey, what do we need? What can I do extra? Because I don't like this, but a lot of people like to come do the same job over and over and over again, and they get stuck in that position, and they say, well, I make good money. I might as well just stay here. So let me make sure nobody comes to where I'm coming. Girl, People are trying to go above. You can stay here. You'll be here in this job while people that was underneath both of us surpass you because they wanted more. They're hungry. But that's a different story.
Exactly. Another thing is people need to stop judging people by their book cover, whether it's negative or positive. You know, you could get a situation where just because this person may wear what people might consider revealing clothing or something, but does that mean that this person is not a good person? Does that mean that you can't learn from this person? Or, you know what I mean? Sometimes you could get a situation where a woman can walk in the room and she could be dressed from head to toe. Automatically, she thinks she this, she thinks she that. How do you know that woman think that? Maybe this woman just likes to dress nice when she steps out. Why is it that if, you know what I'm saying, we got this, or you got a little something to this, a person think you doing better than them, or you better than them? I just don't like all of that.
I had a conversation. So my job, as I say, I work with a lot of women. And over the years, I've had to learn how to deal with a lot of women. When I step out of my house in the morning, I like to dress a certain way. This has been my whole life. But now that I'm old, I'm a little bit more sophisticated with my look. I'm a little bit, when I step out, it's like, hey, girl, you look good. To me, this is me talking to myself. So now when I walk, I would, initially start getting, hey, how are you doing? Hey, Miss Glory, how you doing? And then everything stopped. And I was like, what in the world is going on? Okay, so I'll speak and no speaking to me. What in the world is going on? So I had to talk to my manager. I'm like, okay, I'm lost. Tell me what's going on. Because I stay in my office. I come and help when I need to be helped. I'm not one of those people, you got some leaders that stay in their office, they don't come out and talk. I'm not that person because I don't want anybody to think that I think I'm better than them. So I come out, hey, how you doing? How was y'all weekend? How the baby's doing? And go back in my office. So I went to my manager, I was like, tones are changing. And she was like, well, you got to think about it. You walking around here looking like you got it going on, that little shape. And I said, hold on. How I look and what I look like walking in here has nothing to do with how somebody should treat me. And the fact that when I say hey to somebody, good morning with me in my position, they should respond to that. I shouldn't look and say, hey, wait a minute, what's going on with you? People, women are so, and it's the envy is so dangerous and scary to the point where you don't want to hang out with too many women. Because my mind, my group, at one time we used to do things together. But now it's like, I might miss her, go to the bathroom, it's kind of put something in my drink because I got this secret envy over how I don't want to do none of this with y'all. Y'all might have acid in a cup and throw it in my face. Like, I don't want to do nothing with y'all because how they feel, they dislike themselves, right? Or they want to look a certain way. And I have so many women say, well, I need to lose weight. I need to do this and I do that. I'm 5'5", 140 pounds. But I eat a certain way. And I'll say, well, if you want to lose weight, how are you eating? Oh, no, I eat this way. And I make a suggestion where you little. Ma'am, look, you asked me something, I gave it to you. And I'm telling you, losing weight is not about going to the gym every day. That's not what that is. You have to eat a certain way. It's 80-20, and the 80% is how you eat, not what you go to the gym and work out. So when our manager told me, you walk around here looking a certain way, I was like, that has nothing to do with anything. I'm supposed to change how I look. I'm supposed to change how I dress to make these women feel okay so they can say good morning to me, so they can come to me when they need something instead of, I had people that go without answers because they didn't want to come and talk to me, and I've never done anything to anybody. And I'm looking like, is this okay? Like, this is disrespectful. And I'm starting to get real tight about this. I don't care about your personal opinion about me. Only thing I care about is professionally, when you need something, you dot my door and say, hey, I need this, and I'll come and give it to you. Because personally, I don't know any of you all. I try to make sure I ask you how you're doing, how your life is going, to make sure your work, personal life is balanced, if in case you need an extra day off. That's what I'm trying to do. But women are so envious, and some women are so envious that they don't even realize they're doing it. They just switch up. And it's a lot of times it's because somebody's in their ear. You can have that one person in somewhere that don't like somebody, and they'll start getting people's ear. You see, she dressed like that. Why she come here dressed like that? We don't have to wear heels every day. And then everybody starts saying, she really do come in here during her heels every day. Why she gotta wear heels every day? Why she gotta look like this? Why she come in here bouncing, saying, hey, some people, they want you looking like you have a good day. They want you to look like you're going through. Like,
it's funny that you say that, because a lot of times, like you were saying, you scared to do certain things around certain women. Like you can find yourself, like, say you got a friend and she come in here, she got this nice outfit. You come compliment her and everything. You like it, you will want it. But see, me personally, I wouldn't want to go out and buy that outfit, because then I don't want to get, she copying me. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm thinking like as women, this is something that we supposed to do as women, especially if we're friends. This is the things that we supposed to do. But nowadays we can't do that because of all the judging, the hating, and just ridiculousness.
Yeah, it reminds me of that Audre Lorde quote where she talks about defining yourself for yourself. But I think we also have to do that for other people. Let them define themselves for themselves. It's like, that's one thing that I always make sure, no matter how you dress, you can be dressed up in camouflage and everything. I'm not going to automatically assume that you're a hunter or, you know what I'm saying? You can have the basketball hoodies on and stuff like that. If you're a white kid, I'm not going to automatically assume that you are an athlete, but this black dude who has a hoodie on, you know, you might be some type of criminal about to try to rob me. Allow people to define themselves for themselves. Read that book. You know what I'm saying? You can judge a cover and say, all right, you know what? That Zane book, that really ain't for me. But at least you read some of those Zane books to know what you're about to get yourself into. You know what I'm saying? So I think we have to start, you know, really allowing people to be themselves. And, you know, and there's nothing wrong with we're going to judge superficially. That's something that's going to happen regardless, but you still have to allow that person to be who they are and be receptive to understanding who they are. Because, you know, again, they can look a certain way. We can think they're going to do a certain thing, but until we see them do it, we can't judge them on that. We can be cautious, but don't judge them on that.
So I want to say in regards to that workplace environment, I guess I never really thought about it much because I haven't been in that environment in a couple of years. But as I'm sitting here listening, I'm just realizing that that was the norm. The constant questions and, you know, well, why does she get to do this? And why does she get to do that? And for me, I was just unapologetically myself. I did my job. I loved what I did. I didn't need no drama.
Right.
And because I didn't need no drama, I don't want to hear your drama. And because of that, you know, I was probably labeled some things, might have been ostracized and things like that. But I guess for me, it didn't affect me because I knew that I was there because I needed a job. I was not going to retire there. That was not my stopping point. So I think sometimes for us, you know, it's a hard thing to bear when you're in those environments where you're working with 18 women in a hospital. And when you said hospital, I said, oh, wait, I used to work in the ER in the hospital with women. So just imagine, I'm already in a hostile environment. People are having the worst day of their life. And I got all day, head snap attitude, don't want to do nothing, complaining as soon as they come in the door. But I guess for me, you know, it's like, I got a good life. But if I was not careful, I would start complaining. Because that thing jumps on you, something serious. Next thing you know, you don't even like the clothes you wearing. You think you need to lose 5-10 pounds and you just loving on yourself earlier in the day. Right. So I, you know, I go back to, it is, you know, that environment, you know, it's like pigs in the mud. They don't realize how dirty and nasty they are. They don't realize because they're all doing it together. It's also like that mirror effect. If we're looking at each other and we're talking, you're going to know I got salad in my teeth, but I will never know. So we don't have those opportunities to really self-reflect because you have those people who they're not happy at home. They're miserable. They got a miserable environment, and then they're bringing that to the job. Now, what I like that I heard earlier was, what did you say? You got to do the code switch. Code switch. Like I said, I'm gonna have to remember that phrase because that is what you have to do. And I know that for a fact. When I was in the military, now I did push the envelope a lot, but I knew how much to push. I knew when I had to go talk to my general and give a briefing, no earrings like this. I had to make sure that my nail polish was clear. You got to know, first off, you got to know the rules. You got to know the line that you're supposed to be following when you're having to be a part of a conformed lifestyle. Because here's the crazy thing about that lifestyle. Those other people that we looking at, that's whining and complaining, think about it, they're not happy either.
Right.
And because they see us walking different, looking different, smelling different, dressing different, it interrupts their already disturbed way of life, because you're doing something out of the norm. And in their mind, they can't see it as being anything good. Oh, Keisha about to come in here. Oh boy, it's jeans. They remember last time she wore them jeans. She had them skinny jeans on. No, she just wore skinny jeans. Becky got skinny jeans on too.
Right.
Becky's a 0. And my double digits are not going to look like hers.
Right.
You got to embrace. So it starts here.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we don't realize it starts here because who's teaching us? And then when we're taught, who's helping to reinforce it? Because let's be honest, you could have the most amazing day today. Don't sleep good tonight. Man, tomorrow is going to be hell to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a circle, if you don't have people that you can connect with, like-minded, like I commend you working with those ladies, but I hope and pray you got you a team, because you're going to have to get that off of you so you can come back into your world. One thing I did do when I did work at the ER, at that time, I was married and I had 2 little kids. I told my husband at the time, when I pull in the driveway, give me 10 minutes. I took those 10 minutes and I did whatever I needed to do in the car. I screamed, I cried, I played music. And the music varied. Sometimes I needed Jay-Z. Sometimes I needed smooth gospel, some smooth jazz. Sometimes I needed inspirational, but I had to give to me so I didn't come into the house with all that stuff.
Right.
And I think that's what sometimes we got to think about for ourselves. Are you giving yourself that self-care, that TLC? Right. Because just as sweet as we can be just like the rest of them if we're not careful. Right. And that's one of the things, that I tell people, women all the time, like what's really going on? Because maybe they don't have somebody that cares enough to care.
And that's what I say a lot. I think a lot of people, when you catch people with nasty attitudes, are always in bad moods, they're not getting what they need. They're not getting what they need. As my 3-year-old just woke up. They're not getting what they need from whomever's at their house. They're not getting it. So they're coming to work, taking it out on whomever they can take it out on to make themselves feel better. And a lot of things I encourage people, especially women, especially our women, to go to therapy. Go to therapy. It's okay to see a therapist. Don't let nobody tell you that you're crazy because you see a therapist. No, you go see a therapist. Because sometimes we need to talk about things that we don't feel comfortable telling other people. And you're not going to tell your mom. You're not going to tell your daddy. You're not going to tell your best friend. So go tell somebody that can't repeat it. It'll help you deal with that anger. A lot of times people don't know they have trauma from when they were younger. That's the reason why they're nasty towards people right now. That's the reason why they can't work with other people right now. That's why a lot of women can't be friends with women, because they're dealing with trauma that they had when they were younger, or when they were conditioned to be a certain way. And it needs to be undone. You need to figure out how to decondition yourself from those things. And sometimes seeing someone that does not know you, that can judge you, but will help you figure out ways to help yourself. You need that. And so many of us are so afraid to see therapists because they look at it as, I'm not crazy. Who told you to see a therapist meant you were crazy? What? And your grandmama didn't mess you up. No, that's not what that is.
Well, then I must be crazy because I love talking to my therapist.
I love talking to you. I see mine was.
I do too. I love talking to my therapist. And as you're talking, but I sit up there. I worked at a nursing home. I was a trainer. I did training. It was men and women, but it was the women that was haters. It was the men that wanted to learn. I left that nursing home. I went to drive the city bus, CDLs. I started training for CDL and all this other stuff. And it was like the women wanted to learn, but the men was like, a woman is training me. I don't want a woman to train me, but I was the best. I trained these women. I started driving city buses over highways to other states. And I taught these women how to drive these Airbuses and all this other stuff. And I got good at it, but I'm not working there no more.
Another thing that I want to say that a lot of women do is when they have friends, it's like they only want to have that circle of friends. You get women that say, I don't want new friends. I don't want to meet new friends. Stop doing that, because you never know who you might meet, how they, that could be your blessing. It could be you have the best, you can turn out to be closer than you are with the friends that you are around.
True.
Stop doing that. But I think that sometimes that may come from insecurities within yourself. Another thing is insecurities could come from when you're growing up. Maybe you don't hear enough what you're being motivated, being pushed and told that you can do this, you can accomplish this, or you're beautiful. A lot of times that's where a lot of insecurities come from. And I'm not saying that some parents do it on purpose. Sometimes parents don't realize that is important to tell your child. I'm guilty of that as raising kids, that I just assumed that my kids knew they were beautiful and assumed that they know that I love them because I was their mom. But I probably should have told them that.
Tell and show, because I'm gonna tell but don't show as well too. So
So I was on earlier in Clubhouse, and they were talking about the love languages. And it was just such a eye-opening thing to hear, because I've been studying the love languages for years. So yes, I've kind of learned how to love my kids, and there are two different perspectives. I've learned how to love my friends. I've learned how to love people, the close people, because you're not going to do it for everybody, because that's a deep type of thing. But like you said, I've realized as I started learning about it for myself, I started learning how important and precious my relationships now have to start becoming, the close ones, the team, the tribe, because it creates a magnet effect. It creates a manifestation in the world. So just knowing, that, like you said, does a person need to be told that they're doing a good job, or do they need a hug? Because there's some people, all they want is like, when I think about like the old TV shows like Oprah and stuff, some people be on that stage crying they hearts out. The parent be sitting right there, or the spouse will be sitting right there, or the kid, and the parent is not connecting. And then you get like Oprah to come and hug them, and then that's really all they needed. And I realized, we are the examples right here. We are the ones that are saying, you know what? I noticed that this not working. This environment is toxic, and I'm going to be something different. I love that you say you go to work and lead by example. You have to. And you have to sometimes be the example that you don't even always want to be, because there are others watching. I know even with my kids, I got a 13-year-old daughter. Right now she's in Miami. I'm loving it, because now I don't have to be on the clock. So, like little things. If I'm teaching her, clean up every time you finish what you're doing, I can't have my stuff all over the place. But yet I'm an entrepreneur. My stuff is always all over the place. I work downstairs, I work upstairs, I work in the bedroom, I work in the office. But when she's here, I try to be more mentally paying attention, because I know that she's watching. And so now I'm starting to come out more, socially engaging once again. I pay attention to what I'm wearing, because I could be trying to teach somebody and they don't even realize it. For example, let's stop wearing pajamas out the house. They
pajamas.
Hey,
look, I got somebody told me that I was dead wrong for telling them not to wear a bonnet out of the house. I think looking like you just rolled out of the bed is not the way to go coming to Kroger. Like, don't come to Walmart looking like you didn't wash your face. Like, let's be real. Throw on some sweatpants. Take the pajamas off, throw on some sweatpants, put on the t-shirt.
Come on.
It looks a little bit more presentable than you looking like you just rolled out of your bed. Well, you shouldn't judge people. Look, now your mama didn't
judge, I observed.
What about house shoes? Can we wear house shoes? Can we do house shoes at least?
So what type of house shoes?
House shoes is cool.
Are we talking about like slides that actually look like shoes you can wear outside? Are they
all I know is
with
brother
thread?
started that long time ago, right?
So
house shoes all the time. I think it's cool. I won't wear house shoes because I don't want to get jumped on. I want to be able to run when something go down. So you want to see me in flip flops, no slides.
Dude. So the house shoes depends on what type of house shoes you're wearing. So some of those house shoes are not made to be worn outside of the house.
That's why they call them
house shoes. Now, if you got like some UGG slippers that are actually house shoes, but you can wear them out because they make the bottom hard like shoes, do your thing. But don't be wearing them.
It's so funny that you said that, Slim, because I was at Walmart the other day and I ran into my cousin and I have some barefoot slippers. They got the fur on the inside and they got the hard bottom. She said, "You came out in your slippers." I was like, "Girl, yeah, I ain't feel like slipping my feet in them boots."
Now, when you say it out loud, it sounds like some laziness going on. I'm guilty of it.
Me too.
But think about, how a 2-second decision, we be like, nah, I ain't gonna do it. Now, if you the person like me and you like, I'm not getting out the car, no way, and then you get out the car, at least have on something that's, decent. At least your shoes have hard bottoms. That's different. And I don't know, maybe because I grew up in Queens, like pajamas, house clothes, that's the parent that's about to embarrass somebody. That's the parent that's about to show up and show out. And
that's probably the parent that showed up at the school in the pajamas
and the rollers
and
a robe.
A half a lipstick.
Somebody about to get the business.
Right.
They not gonna get the church conversation. So,
I tell women all the time about being presentable in everywhere you go. You don't have to dress to the T's everywhere, but don't leave your bonnet where it is. Leave the bonnet where it is. And if you're wearing a scarf, make the scarf look like it's part of your hairstyle. Don't be having your whole head wrapped up in the scarf. Like, don't do that.
Unless it matches the outfit.
What about how sometimes they can take the scarf, they can tie it, and they had a big thing in the front or in the back, and you can put it on with some earrings. Like, I think that's okay.
You're doing it. I love it. So
that's fashion cute.
Look like it's part of the outfit. I love that. But when that scarf look like you just rolled out of the bed, you ain't do nothing to it. That's a different
straight up because you had it for about 10 years. Not that one. Don't worry about it.
And so all of y'all got the rules that I sent you in the email, right? So just to tell you how I came up with those rules, it came from a lot of stuff like that, because I think a lot of times people are like, oh, it's just a little podcast. They come on here, their hair ain't combed. You can see the dirty clothes in the corner in the background. One time I had a person dangling their feet in the camera. It's like, okay, you are live. Do you not realize that you are live? And we are live on 2 platforms. So I had to put in there, come like you would if you were going to Applebee's. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you got to wear a nightclub dress and put on a 3-piece suit, but come presentable. You know what I'm saying?
I've seen pajamas at Applebee's before, by the way.
I've seen a bunny at Applebee's. I've seen
nothing. Look at me. My hair was cut that short. Now it's growing back. I want it all the way back to my butt. Everybody said, that's a weave. No, baby, all this is mine. Now it's growing back, but I cut it because I was so depressed. I cut it that short. Now it's getting back.
But yeah, I believe come presentable everywhere.
But that's the reason why rules are in place when you really think about it.
Right.
Because when you see rules, you be like, well, duh.
That's me, duh.
That means something has occurred that these rules have to be put in place.
Yeah.
The perfect example is right now. The world knows what's going on.
everybody, even little kids, know you're supposed to be wearing a mask. But what do we deal with? I went to the mall today, y'all. I went to a Mills and I was like, what are we even doing here with all these people? I mean, people is mask free. They like didn't have no mask, came out the car, no mask into the mall. Ooh. But that's the reason why everywhere you look, wash your hands, wash your hands. People still ain't washing their hands. Rules are put in place because somebody did something and something was affected. You know, I love that you had those rules. To me, it was very natural, practical rules. I was like, well, yeah, of course.
Right.
In a right environment, like I was driving earlier, I didn't come on camera. There's no need for y'all to see me in my SUV driving down the highway faster than I probably should be in the dark. But it is, you know, once again, it's the people that are saying, of course, that's the way it should be. Those are the people we need to be paying attention to, because those are the people
you can't assume that everybody, you know what I'm saying, is going to think that way. So when I see it, you know, it's like, wow. Because, you know, I'll watch each show after and then I'll see things. And so that's how I came up with a lot of rules, you know, to avoid certain things. And also just to let people know how serious this is to me. You never know who could be watching this. And right. If they see stuff like that, they're like, ugh, she got a ghetto podcast. No, I don't want that.
Yeah, and that means you have standards. And I think that's one of the things that we forget about is having standards for ourselves and standards for other people who enter our lives as well, too. And
you get, hold on. You get talked about for those standards. You get literally, they come for you about those standards. Why you standing? Why you do this? Why you do that? That's fine.
That goes back to what we were talking about earlier. And actually, when I put those rules in place, I was wondering, like, was I going to get some negative feedback? I haven't gotten any yet. But that goes back to people feeling like, she got these rules. She thinks she does. You know what I'm saying?
And that's okay. That's okay for them to feel that way. Do what you do on your platform. Keeping it real may go really, really well for you. But keeping it real can go really, really bad for other people. Yeah, allow people to stay in the lane that they're in. Let them go as fast as they want to go in that lane or as slow as they want in that lane. You know, but you have to make your moves. You got to switch over to the left lane or the right lane, or hey, go over into the medium if you need to get around a traffic jam. But we have to make sure that we're trying to control ourselves first before we start worrying about other people. We have to look at them and maneuver around them and those obstacles, because we're all going to have it. And it's like hearing all these stories, everybody has these same stories. Some of us have it more than others, for sure. You know, we have it more than others because of, guess what? It's easy for them to see the skin. So we're going to automatically have more troubles. But if you are a 6'4" dude looking like Idris Elba, guess what? Your life gonna go a little bit better than a 5'9" dude looking like Urkel or somebody. You know, it's a difference, and it's unfortunate, but that's how we are as a society. You know, but it's like we have to have more resolve overall, and unfortunately, you know, we are showing less resolve because we are allowing people to get away with more things or let more things slide. Because it's like one of the funniest things that I've noticed is that we look at like a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old being too young and that they don't know any better. And I'm like, really? They don't know any better? Yeah. Raise your standards up. Because I'm going to tell you this, when I was in first grade or in kindergarten, they weren't teaching us how to read, but guess what? These kindergartners are learning to read. So they're smarter. So they also should be able to be more socially apt as well too. But guess what? We keep making excuses, you know, for these kids and for these people, and making excuses for people's behavior. We gotta say, hey, no, I'm not gonna accept that. I don't accept it. You know, I've had to check many of people. Like I worked at Apple Store for years. And I had to check some of these parents, you know, it's like one of the weirdest things. And I would always ask kids about this who are around that 14, 15-year-old age. You know, did you get your permit yet? It's amazing how many parents are not preparing their kids to get a driver's license. because they are afraid that they can't handle that responsibility. And when I was coming up in the late 80s, early 90s, that was the first thing that you did. When you were 16 on your birthday, you were at the Secretary of State, DMV, whatever it is, wherever you're from, getting your driver's license so you don't have to have your mom drop you off at the movies or anything like that. And as a mother, my mom was like, I don't want to get up and have to drop you off at the movies and wait on you and all this other stuff. But nowadays, these parents are enabling their children. And that's another thing that we have to stop.
Yep, and I've been driving since I was 8 years old, 9 years old.
I agree with you.
They taught us how to drive.
15-year-old son. Now, his situation's a little different. He is a little genius and he's an introvert. So he's like, I don't see why I need to be driving right now, because he's an analytical thinker. Until we had sat down and had a conversation. I said, there is so much value in you having your license. I said, for example, you know how we like to take road trips? Wouldn't you like to contribute to helping to drive? And he said, not really.
That's a kid.
But you got to respect the conversation, right?
Right.
So I say, well, maybe if I put it like this, would you like to know that you're helping the household to alleviate some of the things that I have to do so that the household could function a little freer? When he thought about it like that, yes, he's like, okay.
Yeah, you got a 13-year-old sibling who needs to go places as well, too.
Right.
Exactly. I got a 13-year-old daughter. I'm ready for him to take her somewhere. I'm ready for, you know, those moments parents have where you're like, man, I wish you could go to the store for me right now because I forgot XYZ that I'm cooking. We live in Charlotte. Now in New York, I got yelled and we went to the store up the street and we came back. But when you start having those conversations at a younger age, before it's a need for that conversation, you prepare. Most parents are not doing that. Why? Because they're not even handling adult level things that they should be handling for themselves. So if I'm not being a responsible parent, I'm not paying my bills on time, I'm not being a good friend as a woman to another woman, I'm going to have recklessness in my own home.
Right.
And there's a lot of enablement and entitlement that's going to happen, which is another reason why, unfortunately, I feel like women don't get along.
I was getting ready to say the same thing. They're enabled by a lot of people that behavior that they have that's nasty or jealousy. The friends are saying, girl, you're right. They're encouraging that behavior. So they're walking around thinking the way they think their mentality, the way they treat people is actually right, instead of sitting back thinking. But then I'm going back to, I believe people always say, well, they don't know this. You can't blame them for this. No. Once your parents are responsible for you until the day before your 18th birthday. I give you to the day before your 18th birthday. That's your mom and dad. They're responsible. They should have instilled things in you. But if your mama and daddy did leave some things out, it is your job. Once it is brought to your attention that you are lacking things, that you show no emotion, you're cold or things, whatever that issue may be, it is your job to look at self and say, hey, I need to figure out how to make this right. If you can't befriend people or show, just be cordial to people or help lift people up, then you need to look at yourself and see what's going on with me to say, hey, why can't I help lift this girl up? Because the reason why I got the job that I got, it was a PRN job. And I had a lunch with the vice president of the organization. And she asked me at this time, she was like, why do you like working here? And I told her, I said, well, I like the fact that I know at the end of the day, that I've made somebody's day. I've been a sigh of relief to somebody. That's why I come here every day. I was hired full-time that next Wednesday because her thing was, hey, wait a minute. She actually likes what she's doing. She likes helping other people. I like uplifting other people. I love seeing women. I like seeing them smile because you know what? Women get torn down so much from the way they dress, how they wear their hair, how they look, how they talk. And if I can see one thing that can help put a spark in somebody's eye, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make you smile. I'm going to tell you that I like how you dress. And if you change your look, I'm going to let you know that I like how you change your look. You got to mention certain things because people don't uplift each other anymore. They're so busy worrying about, well, if I uplift her, it's going to take my shine. Let me tell you something. If you're a star, you're going to shine no matter where you at. No matter who you lift up, you're going to shine no matter what. So telling somebody else and making somebody else feel good about themselves is not going to take away from you and what you have to bring to the table. And that's another reason why women just cannot get along, because everybody trying to sit at one table like we can't have 10 tables in the same room. It's different tables at the same room because each table presents different things. So why are we trying to all sit at one table and trying to push everybody away like we can't pull another table up and everybody can eat?
That's stepping outside of the box, like I was saying earlier. Step outside of your box. So a lot of y'all may not know my co-host, like, so we have 3 generations. So I'm 48. Then my other co-host is 35, and then my other co-host is 23. And we all, so when you say, sometimes people say younger people, this and that, if you, Slim, you met the other co-host, and you saw how Miss Black talks, you would never think that she was 23. Right. You know what I mean? So, and I like having it where it's 3 generations. I think that's a key.
Because so many people look at younger, there are some younger women that are just, like, baby, come, let me hug you, baby. Let me hug you and hope that I can help you. And then you have some that come out, they're go-getters. They're gonna, look, don't think because I'm young, I'm dumb. You have those. When I was 22, 23, the mentality that I have now, I had that same mentality. I wasn't the person that need to get to the clubs. I wasn't the person that need to be a part of the in crowds, because I felt like being a part of a crowd to get you in a lot of stuff, it's going to be hard to get yourself out. So I was never that person. The woman that I am now, I'm more mature, a little bit more seasoned, but I was the same woman at 21, 22, 23. I was the same person. I had a bit of a temper back then because I didn't like when people played with me. But now, I still don't like people playing with me, but I know how to handle it now. I know how to handle it in a manner that it does not attack my sanity, because right now, my first priority is to guard my sanity at all costs, because I got a child that I'm raising. So I can't afford to lose that, because the minute I walk in this house with a bad attitude, my son's going to feel that he's going to get the end of that stick that he doesn't deserve. So now I know how to just let stuff roll off me and just say, you know what? People are really miserable now. I can't even put up with it. Like, when someone has an issue with me, I'm looking at them like, you don't even know me personally. You don't even know how, unless you have my actual phone number, you know me personally, you've been in my home, you can't have an issue with me because I don't know you and you don't know me. We don't have those type of issues. Really? But people look at, because I get looked at because I'm young compared to some other people, like I don't know what I'm talking about sometimes. And I get challenged. Now, I love a good challenge, especially when I know what I'm doing. A challenge makes my day. It makes my day. I look forward to challenges most days. And then when they challenge you and you show them, hey, this is not what you want. And then it's still a problem. Well, she can't do this. Well, I don't know. No. It's been times I had to prove myself in a manner that I'm looking like, my goodness, what is the real problem here? It can't be that I can't do my job, because that's it. What's the real problem here? And then you got some older women that instead of getting out of the way for the younger women to do what they need to do, they're still trying to stay right there and block everybody else. And that causes problems with women right there again. Your time has came and gone. When a 25-year-old right now, I look at them, oh, that was cute. I remember those days. I'm out of their way. We're not in the same. My thing is, I always say, people laugh at me when I say this, let kids play with kids. So a 25-year-old young man, a 30-year-old young man can't say anything to me. Hey, go play with the little kid down the street, because we're on 2 different levels. So when I say let kids play with kids, people, what do you mean? When I was 25, I did what a 25-year-old probably would have done. I was a little selfish. I didn't have a kid until I was in my 30s. God knew when to give me one when I lost all, when he knew I was ready for my son, financially, mentally, emotionally, and everything he gave me to me. But I believe in letting people that mingle together, like what I look like hanging out in the club with a 22-year-old and I'm 35. No, let the kids play with the kids. And some of my ladies like, well, let's go out. Your idea of going out and my idea of going out are 2 different things. I think a movie and a dinner is good, and then my night's been made. You want to go to the club. That's not me. I'm not that person. So I have to make them understand. I'm not saying I don't want to hang with you, but when you want to go out to eat, you can say, we can go. But anything outside of something that I feel that's within my age range, I'm not doing. And if I do it, I'm out of town. And what happens out of town stays out of town. It don't come back home with me. But I believe in people that need to make way for the next person, make way for the next generation. When you were 25, somebody made the way for you to be where you are right now. So why are you trying to halt the process with your envy or jealous or your insecurities about somebody coming stepping on your toes? If you move your feet, nobody's gonna step on your toes.
Exactly. Okay, I got a comment from the audience. Rights of Passion says, y'all gotta stop this. Ain't nothing wrong with y'all, but y'all can't shut down thinking crazy. Y'all gotta get away with everything. Only group with rights. Make a lot of bad decisions and blame others for them. Are there and their kids mimicking the behavior, boys and girls, causing issues and resentment, meaning any kids under y'all's age group lost for identity and further from reality.
Even my son didn't understand that. He was just like, what?
You said what?
I said, even my son didn't understand it. He was like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I was a little lost on that too. I don't know. Yeah, I was a little lost on that.
So I'm assuming that they're talking about, this is my assumption, that when kids are, he said something about resentment, you make a way for your kids or something like that. So I'm assuming you're talking about when kids are raised a certain way. That goes back to, my mom never told me I loved them. My mom's mentality was, my kids know I love them, but she never said the words to me.
And that's what I was saying.
That bothered me. So my son hears I love you every day, multiple times a day. It's shown to him. My mama also didn't spend time with us the way I wish she would have, because in her mind, my kids know I love them. So it was never a movie night. It was never me and my mama and my siblings just chilling, hanging out. We never had that. My mom didn't do it. And I'm not sure if it was intentionally or maybe her mom didn't do it and her mom's mom didn't do it. So it was just a cycle kept repeating itself. So I knew when I became pregnant with my son that I didn't want my son to say, hey, my mama never told me I love her. She just assumed that I knew she did.
And that's what I was pretty much saying earlier, that pretty much, like I said, and I don't want to say that, you know, she probably didn't realize that she was doing it. But then I carried it into when I had kids. I didn't just tell them, you know, I love you on a regular or you're beautiful and such. Now, we did do things together. Now, I can say that. But yeah, a lot of this stuff stems from kids needing to be able to hear that.
They need to be able to hear it. They need to feel it. They need to be shown, you know, certain things. And I look at my son, you know, I think my son is it for me because I'm not young. But I look at him and I want him to be able to think, say, and my mom really gave me quality time. My mom really, you know, so many parents don't want their kids to come to them, talking to them about certain things because of the way they were raised. You know, if you brought up a certain topic, it was disrespectful for you to have that conversation with them. You know, so you shut your kids out. And I always say, when you shut your kids out, they can go out in the street. So you better be careful with that. To shut, like, your kids, they may tell you some wild stuff and your eyes may buck, but just let them keep talking, and then you can, you know, get there for you can help them. And a lot of times I feel like that itself can separate women, because I had this one lady, she was that mom. I love my kids. I spend quality time with my kids. She was having a conversation with my mom. My mom, it was foreign to her. She didn't know. She was like, what is she talking about? Why? Her kids always together. That's what people with kids do. I know we work and everything, but we still have to make memories with our children, because you got to remember, the kids that we bring up are the same kids that go out in this world. Either they're going to put good energy out here, or they're going to put negative energy out here. You don't want angry kids. You don't want, you know, because one of the ladies at my job that I found out that was very negative, that wouldn't, you know, she pushed everybody away, didn't want to talk to anybody. It was just distant. She didn't like anybody. She didn't have a good relationship with her mom, even her adulthood. And she, you know, and we deal with certain things because, you know, the saying is blood is thicker than water. And when I hear that saying, I said, well, technically it's not, because if we put a drop of blood, a drop of water here, neither one gonna move. And if we turn it upside down, both of them gonna drip the same. So that's not really it. You gotta choose how you let people have access to you. And that goes for anybody in your life. Don't think because, oh, this is my family, I have to deal with this toxic behavior.
Exactly.
That toxic behavior got you coming around being mad and upset that people don't even know you personally. Then you better stop letting people hold on to you and knowing that, you know, they don't mean you any harm, or they don't, you know, and a lot of parents, older parents, they feel once you bring things to their attention and tell them, hey, this hurt me, this did this, I'm struggling right now. I can't keep a friend right now because I'm struggling with how I was with what you did to me, or what wasn't done for me. Those parents get mad, go off, you're disrespecting me, instead of saying, hey, let me think about this. Maybe I did make some mistakes. Maybe I did do some things wrong. Maybe I am contributing to the fact that my daughter can have female friends without causing some type of tension with them. Parents back, like in my mom's age, they don't think about those type of things, and they don't want to hold the accountability, because in their mind, you're grown, you should have known better. And that goes back to the thing where people say, well, they're young, let them do that. No. Once you're older, you know better, you do better. You keep doing the same thing over and over again. You keep getting the same reaction over and over again, same outcome. At some point, you got to say, hey, maybe it's me. Maybe I got to figure out what's going on with me, that I can develop better relationships with the people around me, that I can befriend more women. Because a lot of women don't have women friends at all. And I ask them, I don't have many. I don't have many because I don't believe in letting a lot of people in my circle, because that can be a dangerous game. But you don't have anybody that you talk to? And why is that? Because they've been conditioned that, you have friends, you fall out with them. Or you don't even fall out, you grow apart. Friendships are a lot like relationships sometimes. You can grow, and that person can want to stay there, and they don't want to go with you. And sometimes that friendship you got to wipe your hands with it. It's no hard feelings. It's just that I can't stay here with you. I want something different. I've had friendships that have to end like that. And it's no bad blood. When I see them, it's, hey, how you doing? But, we're on two different levels. And unless you want to come up, you're going to have to stay right there. People don't want to acknowledge the wrong that they've done in raising a kid, to creating this person that we have now that sits around that's bitter, that can't befriend people, they can't hold relationships, they don't even know how to talk to people. They got an attitude with everybody. You can ask how they doing. I'm fine. Girl, I didn't wake up with you. What is wrong with you? Like, people don't understand that. And I wish women would just look at each other and say, you know what? When I go to work, no matter what's going on in my personal life, once I hit that clock, I walk in and shake my head. Good morning. How's everybody doing? I'm chipper because, first of all, I need my job. I got a kid to take care of. And second of all, these people at work had nothing to do with whatever's going on in my personal life. And that work may just make my day today, make my day better. Having conversations with these women, hearing about, their kids and what they have going on, it may just make your day. So stop trying to push people away because you feel like they're trying to get too close to you, or they're trying to get where I'm at. No. And even if they are, if you're good at what you're doing, when they get where you are, you're going to be somewhere else.
Yeah. And a lot of times, parents back then, you're right when you say there were certain things that you couldn't come to your parent and talk about because they thought it was disrespectful. But maybe if they had been more open and let us feel comfortable about coming to them about certain things, maybe things could be a little better. Because sometimes when kids aren't able to talk openly to their parent, then guess what? They go get it from somewhere else, and it might be the wrong information.
Right.
That is true, because when I was growing up, I sit up there and kiss my guy friend. I thought I was pregnant. But I tried to talk to my mother. My mother said, girl, get away from me. There's nothing wrong with you. But I cried because I thought I was pregnant. The guy I was with, he said, how is you pregnant? I ain't even touched you. I just kissed you.
That makes me think about a show that I just saw on Netflix called The Bridgerton. And this young lady knew nothing about anything because her mama shielded her. And, she was just so naive. And she had to ask literally the maids on how a kid was made because her mama shielded her from everything. And I was like, what? I wish I would send my kid out in this world not knowing anything about anything. Like, what are we doing?
When I raise my kids, I'm guilty of shielding them. And you know what really brought light to me is my oldest daughter told me one time, she said that I was so strict, I didn't allow her to do anything, and it pushed her to the point where she was afraid, to come and talk to me about certain things, and it hurt. Not that she said it to me, but it hurt me because then I realized I made a mistake in a sort of sound way. But at the same time, when I was making that choice, I thought I was making a good choice. I thought I was protecting my kids. You know what I'm saying? Like keeping them away from certain things, keeping them from being harmed or, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? So this is what makes me feel like, wow, I should have been more open. Like now they're at the age where they can talk to me about things. I don't judge them. I don't get into their personal business. I might say a little something here and there, but I don't overstep my boundaries.
Right.
But just hearing her tell me that, it just made me realize like I kind of made a mistake a little bit.
Yeah.
It's all about balance though, too, and understanding your kids, understanding the individuals as well, too. It's like you might have another kid that you do need to protect a little bit more, or you need to coddle a little bit more, but it's about developing a relationship and understanding who they are and how they're growing as well, too. But sometimes we feel like, oh, this is the way my mom raised me or my dad raised me, so I should raise my child this way. Or I raised his first child this way, so I should do the same thing. Ooh. And you have to understand that every kid, every person, every adult, everyone that you meet is completely different from you. And they may seem superficially the same as you in so many different ways, but there's one thing that they may learn differently. They might think a little bit different, and they may absorb information different. And we have to try to understand all those different aspects of people as individuals, whether it's an adult or a child, because they're pretty much the same.
Right.
Yeah, because I sit up there after I had my own children. We talked, we discussed. I told them the difference between touch and feel and all this. And they did a right thing. My grandkids and kids didn't have children until they were way up in age. But I was glad I taught them that, but I didn't know because my parents, and we couldn't talk to them. I had to learn this stuff in the streets. But then if I talked to my mom or dad, I got my ass whooped because that was none of my business.
It's out of grown folks' business.
So I'm
going to
and read some comments from the audience, and then it's 7:34. So then we're going to probably shut it down. So Rites of Passage wrote another comment. He says, kids are not able to fully articulate all that. But if you feel like this is my mama's way, then this is my mama's way, then anything other to a kid is wrong. Identity in the house is hers until we hit the streets, and it's only her mentality. And then Stacy asked him, what are kids not able to fully articulate? And he said, a grudge, a wrong. And then also he wrote, not able to be talked about, mama gonna be mad, suppressed emotions, men meet other women with, and vice versa.
What?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm saying what? What?
I don't know exactly where he was going with that, but yeah, I want to send a shout out to all of my viewers, especially my viewers that chime in on a regular, people who share my stuff, people who jump in on the comments. I would like to send out a shout and love. Thank you for your support. This is what keeps me going, and this is what motivates me. We're going to go on and end this tonight. I want to thank all my guests for joining. You guys have a good night, and please follow me on my page at Talk to Talk with Lady Zinnias, and peace.
We love you, Lady
You guys have a good night.
Good night.
Hi, little Slim.
Hi.
Wash them hands.
Bye, guys.
All right, see you later.
Bye.
Peace.